Hey, algebra 2, Stirp here. This is 6K, so factoring and finding roots for polynomial functions. All right, so we're continuing with more synthetic division. So if we wanted to factor this, if we knew that f at 9, that means that x minus 9 is a factor, okay? Because they tell us this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and use synthetic division on here. So I'm going to divide by 9. So I have 1, negative 8, negative 120, and then 990. Bring this straight down. 1 times 9 is 9. Add straight down. I get 1. 1 times 9 is 9. Bring that down. That gives me negative 111. And multiply that. So that's, hang on, I just messed up on my math. Negative 111. So that gives me, I think we want this to be 999. So that gives me negative 999. And then we add those and we get 0. So that takes place there. So then we know that if I go and I plug the x's back into here, I get x squared plus x minus 111 equals 0. So if I factor that, you know what? I remember from years past, this problem is not going to work. Because, yeah, this one doesn't work. So I'm just skipping it. It doesn't. I just remember from years past it doesn't work, and I don't think we fixed it. So, all right. So again, this is going to tell me that x plus 6 works. That's going to be one of the factors. So I'm going to box that so I remember it. So I'm going to use synthetic division using the negative 6. Straight down, 2 times that's negative 12. Straight down with adding, that's going to give me negative 1. That's going to give me 6. Straight down, that's going to give me negative 10. That gives me positive 60, which gives me 0. So we verified that. Then I'm going to plug in my x values, 1 degree less, equal to 0. So we're going to go ahead and factor that. So 2x and x. And I'm going to do a 5 here and a 2 here. And that's going to give me a negative 5 and a positive 1. I think that, yep, that one factors out. So I have that as my factors. And then don't forget this other one. Okay. All right, so how do we find the zeros of a function? Well, on this one, looks like we could factor a 3 and an x out of both. So that's going to give me x to the third plus 125, which is great. So this means that 3x equals 0, so x equals 0. So that's one of my solutions. It's going to cross at 0. This is the sum of two cubes. So that's going to give me x plus 5, and then x squared minus 5x plus 25. So this is going to give me, set it equal to 0. So that gives me negative 5. So I have two real solutions. This is not going to factor. Use the quadratic formula, or I'm going to complete the square just because you all know I'm weird like that. I'm going to bring the 25 to the other side, so I'll make a negative 25 over here. So half of 5 is 5 over 2. 5 over 2 squared is 25 over 4. 25 over 4. So negative 25, that's negative 100 over 4 plus 25 over 4. And so that's going to give me negative 75 over 4. Take the square root of both sides. Don't forget the plus minus. So I know I have I. 75 breaks 75, or 25 times 3, so that's going to give me 5i. Inside the radical, I'm going to have a root 3. Square root of 4 is 2. So then I'm going to add 5 halves to both sides. I have the same denominator, so I also find that x is equal to 5 plus or minus 5i root 3 all over 2. So the blue ones are real, and this is a complex solution. There's two of them. Remember, they come in pairs. All right, so if we know one of the zeros is at 7, meaning if I divide this by 7, That's going to work. So synthetically divide. So I get 6, negative 29, negative 96, and 35. Bring this straight down. That gives me 42. What does that give me? 13, is that right? 13 times 7 is 1, carry the 2. 7 times that, it's going to give me 91. Straight down, that gives me negative 5, so that gives me 1 multiplied negative 35. So we verify that x minus 7, that's that, results in x equals 7. So that's one of our solutions we verified. And now we're going to plug our x's back in. So I get 6x squared plus 13x minus 5. And we're going to go ahead and factor that. So let's see if that factors to, what do you think, 3x and 2x maybe? And I'm just trying. Let's see if I do a 5 here and a 1 here, and I have a negative here and a positive here. Outside gives me positive 15, inside gives me negative 2, so that works. All right, so my other answers, I'm going to set each of those equal to 0. So add 1, divide by 3. 2x plus 5 equals 0, so subtract 5, divide by 2. So we actually have 3 real solutions for this problem. So here's a solution, and then we knew this original one's a solution. And being it's raised to the third power, that should happen. So they're either real or complex. These ones happen to be real. All right, they tell us that negative 6 is one of the zeros, so that we know that x plus 6 is that. So I have 0, x equals negative 6. That's definitely a solution, a 0. So I'm going to divide negative 6 into that. So I get 2, 11, negative 16, negative 60. Bring the 2 straight down. So that gives me negative 12. That gives me negative 1. It's 6. That's negative 10. Multiply that. I get 60. And I just keep adding straight down on each of those. And that gives me a 0. So that verifies that. So then I have 2x squared minus x minus 10 equals 0. Let's see if we can factor it. I get 2x and x. I say a 5 here and a 2 here. And let's see, that should be a negative 5, positive 2. Let's see, outside is 4x, inside is negative 5x. Yep, that works. So I'll set each of those equal to 0. So add 5 divided by 2. So there's another solution. And then x plus 2 equals 0. So I get negative 2 by subtracting 2. So my 3 solutions are here, here, and here. Nice thing is it was raised to the third power, so that works out real nicely for us. All right, we know that 5 is one of the zeros, so that's x minus 5 is the binomial. So here's definitely a 0 they're telling us. So we're going to take that and divide it. Bring that straight down. It gives me 10. Straight down, 1, that's 5. Straight down, that's negative 4, negative 20. We get the 0. Fantastic. Put the x's back in at 1 degree less. And let's see if we can factor that. I think it's going to be 2x and x. And I don't think it'll be 2's. I think we're going to have a 4 here. Is that going to work for us? 4. That's not going to work. You know what? It's not going to factor. So if it's not going to factor, let's go to complete the square. I know we go the quadratic formula, but you know me. For this, I'm going to divide everything by 2 first. We're going to move the 2 over. All right, ready? Half of half is a fourth. 1/4 squared is 1/16. 1/16. So that means I'm going to go 32 over 16 plus 1 over 16. So I'm going to get 33 over 16. Go ahead and take the square root of both sides. Don't forget the plus minus. Root 33 plus or minus root 33 over 4. and subtract the 1/4. So I'm going to wind up with x equals -1 plus or minus root 33 all over 4. Cool. So no, that wouldn't have factored. So there's two solutions here. There's one here. It's raised to the third power. It checks out. All right, guys, why don't you take a look at the homework, which on 6K, and let's look at the odds. Have a great day, everybody. Take care of one another. Bye-bye.